Welcome to the Claim Your Day podcast. Here, it's all about taking full advantage of the time we have today and becoming intentional with our actions so we each can have the impact we want. If you want to stop drifting through life and start directing your life, and you're open to a short podcast from someone who's working at the exact same thing, then welcome. You're in the right place, my friend. Hi, I'm your host, Nick Mazey. To respect your time and so you can claim your day, let's dive right in. Well, hello, my friend, and welcome. Welcome to the Claim Your Day podcast. Glad you're here and joining in. Right now, we're in a series about making today count. Making today count. So this is just episode 2 of this series. If you missed the first one, you can go back and check it out. But hey, you know this podcast is all about making the most of the days that you have and making progress toward the things that are important to you and living out your values. And that's something that we can do on a daily basis. And that's going to actually make the days that we have count, because the day does matter, my friend. Today, we're talking about, taking the small steps to have that big impact that you want. I know if you're anything like me, and if this podcast resonates with you, then most likely we have some stuff in common. But if you're anything like me, then you have big goals, dreams that you want to accomplish, achieve, the impact that you want to have. And if that's the case, then sometimes that can be overwhelming. Yeah, it is. It can be. Or you have this big thing, and it's going to take you a couple years to accomplish, to achieve, and it can be overwhelming just thinking about the distance that you have to go. The distance that you have to go from where you're at right now to where you're really looking to be with your goals and your dreams. And that overwhelm, it's like a double-edged sword. You can make it frustrating in your time, but that overwhelm can also lead to you not taking the actions that you could take just because it's going to take you a long time to get there. It's going to take a lot of work. Let's think about this for a second. Just think about Dave. So Dave wants to write a book, but he knows how big that book is. It's going to be, and it's a huge amount that he has to overcome and he has to do. And Dave's become paralyzed, with the thought of how much work it's going to take for him to create this book. He's paralyzed by just the thought of how much more he has to do. And the magnitude of his goal is holding him back. And he's not able to do anything until he commits to simply writing one paragraph a day. When he starts to write one paragraph a day, it's not a lot. And he knows that he's probably going to have to do more in the long run than just one single paragraph a day. But when he commits to writing just that one paragraph a day, this massive change ends up happening, even though he hasn't taken and done a lot of massive work. Instead, it's just that little bit of progress, a little bit of momentum. And he's no longer paralyzed because he's doing something and he's making progress each and every day. Do your big goals and dreams sometimes seem impossibly far away? Like they're just so far off that you don't even know if it's going to be able to happen. Well, that's like you at all, my friend. Don't worry, you're not alone. And don't worry, there's something you can do about it. Today's message, I'm going to go ahead and let you know, if you haven't grabbed it already, is that consistent, small, daily actions, those simple, small steps done consistently, that's actually the ticket to achieve to your long-term success and achieving those long-term big goals that you have, is those consistent, small, daily actions done on a regular basis. That's going to take you that great distance, that long way to achieve your goals. It's going to be better than any large leaps that you could take. So how you get there, so you have this big goal and the small steps are what you need to do in order to get there. You got to do it consistently over time. So how do you get there? Well, you got to break down your big goals into the small milestones, those incremental milestones, and then break that down into the small steps that you can do, on a quarterly or monthly basis. And you keep breaking it down until you land on what you can do today and this week. So once you got it mapped out, it's going to give you a little bit of clarity. You're going to be able to see the picture, and you're going to be able to see the value from what you do on a daily basis. So breaking down those large goals, it actually helps you reduce that overwhelm, because then you're not looking like, oh, I have to write this whole book. No, you're looking at, I just got to write this one paragraph. So it reduces the overwhelm. But it's those small steps once you got it broken down, you're able to kind of knock out what you got to do just for one day. Then those small steps, once you got it broken down, that's what's going to create that momentum. Because then you're moving forward, and that is awesome. So you're going to take micro actions. You're going to break down that big goal. It's going to reduce the overwhelm. It's going to help you to build momentum by doing those small steps. And it's those small steps done consistently on a daily basis that's going to compound. It's going to build on top of one another. So not only are you reducing your overwhelm, you're building your momentum, but your progress is compounding day after day after day. And now, instead of time working against you by time just clicking away while you're paralyzed by not being able to make progress on your big goal because you see it as this massive thing that you can't accomplish, instead of being paralyzed by that, you're actually experiencing this drive of momentum, not only by breaking your big goal down, but you're going to get that momentum by seeing how your progress, even if it's just one tiny step a day, you're seeing how your progress is compounding over time. Now time's working to your advantage because you're seeing that progress. It's growing, it's building, and you're beginning to see the fruits of your labor, the yield from your consistent small daily steps that you're taking, and those results over time are going to blow your mind because now you're a third of the way, you're half the way, you keep on making progress toward that big goal over time by that consistent small daily actions. Another great benefit is when you break down your big goals into these small steps, then you can look at your daily steps, and you can do a little bit of a self check in right here and say, hey, are these daily steps, are they actually aligned with my values and my goals? Ensuring that it's your long-term goals and aspirations that they resonate with your core values and what's most important to you. Obviously, they should be. I want you to make sure that when you're setting these goals and these dreams, it's not just something that your neighbor wants, or that you're not just getting swayed by society or what other people are saying, but that when you're setting your big goals and your values and your big goals and your dreams, when they're aligned with your values, then as you're taking small steps to get there, then your daily actions are connected with your values. That's what's going to help you to sustain this drive of moving forward. And when you get a little discouraged, when you're getting worn out by taking these small steps, because that's going to happen as you're pursuing your big goals, you're going to be able to remind yourself that you are actually living out your values on a daily basis, and it's not only helping you to live that life you want to live now by who you want to be, but it's also helping you take you to these larger goals and dreams that you have. That connection, that connection with what you're doing on a daily basis and your values, is going to help strengthen your resolve to keep moving forward. All right. Well, so if you listen to this podcast at all, you know by me, I like to share a little bit of maybe some insights or almost like teachy stuff. But then after that, we got to get down to what you can do today. What you can do today, your action step. Now, it's all about making today count. So, what big goal, what long-term goal that is significant for you, your life, your family, what's most important to you, your values, what long-term goal do you have that might be a little bit overwhelming? It might be a really big thing. I want you to think about that for a second. Now, you're not going to be able to accomplish it and achieve it all today. You know that. I know that. But let's think for a second that long-term goal that you have, and let's break it down into that micro step, that manageable small step that you can start to make a little bit of progress in. And when you break down your big goals, it's not that you're just going to be able to break these massive goals down into one step and that's it. You're going to have to go step by step, breaking it down smaller and smaller until you can say, hey, well, what would I want to accomplish this year? What would I want to accomplish this quarter, this month? And now let's keep going down until you can say, hey, this is one thing that I can do today to help me move closer toward it? Hey, maybe your step today is just taking and you're going to break this large goal down into some major milestones, and then some steps along the way to achieve those milestones, and then your daily action step or your weekly how much you're going to accomplish each week, and then break that down into a daily basis. Maybe that your action step today is to actually map out what you need to do in order to write that book to accomplish what you want to accomplish for your health, or uh, make those financial gains that you want to make, or maybe you're going back and getting some additional training for your career, whatever that is. Maybe your big daily step today is just breaking those large goals down. Maybe you haven't spent some time in really assessing what some of your large goals are, and so your action step today is to write out your values and what it would look like to actually live out those values in the long term. But you got to find something that you can do today, even if it's a small step. You got to find something that you can do today that's going to help you to living your best life. And it's not that you can do this all day, every day, but at the end of each day, being able to look back and say, "Hey, I did this one thing that's helping me to live my life according to my values and what's most important to me and my goals and my family." I want you to be able to end your day saying that you did that one thing for that. And over time, you can continue you might be able to build on those one things that you're doing. You might be able to adjust them so they're more powerful, more effective, more efficient. That's fine. But at the end of the day, saying, hey, at least in this area, I did something to live out my values. That's what's going to help you to keep moving forward. It's going to be able to help you to claim your day, my friend. So just a little bit of a recap. Consistent small daily actions. That's going to create the lasting change and the progress you want to make towards for you, your life, and your family. You can take one small step today. You can be intentional with that one small step that you're taking, even if that is just mapping out your small steps for the next day or the next week. Take one small step today, because it's going to help you to make progress. But then here's a big part of it too. There's a big part. Acknowledge that step that you took. At the end of the day, looking back and saying, hey, I did X, Y, and Z, or I just did X, and it was aligned with my values, and it's helped me to live my life to what's most important to me. I want you to be able to say that. Tell yourself that at the end of the day after doing something according to your values. And map that out. Write it out with a pen and a piece of paper or pencil. Digital's fine, but there's power when you write out what you're going to do. It's going to help you to stick to it. Might have to do an episode on that later about just writing down the tasks for the next day to help clear my mind and make sure that I'm being intentional with my actions. But you can do it and acknowledge the steps that you're taking. Give yourself credit, my friend. There's too many distractions and too many demands to not give yourself credit for what you're doing. That'll help. Hey, I really appreciate you joining in. I really appreciate these episodes are for you so that you can make the most of your time for your values. And I appreciate you joining in on this conversation. But make sure you're taking some action too. And if you want to take a small step for a big impact, rate and review this podcast and make sure you subscribe. That right there, and keep adding value, and it might be able to reach somebody else that you know or don't know that can get some value out of it too. That's what I want for this podcast. All right. Here's to you, my friend. Hope you have a great day. Claim your day. Make the most of it. Break your big goal down into a small, simple step that you can take. Take that step consistently over time, and you're going to make some great progress and have a good impact. All right. Here's to you, my friend. Take care.